Chapter 381. Since Donna was locked up and the Addams family was under surveillance, only the subordinates were watching the child. Those people are just working for the money. If they see the high rewards offered, they'll surely get swayed. Even if they don't, the neighbors in the area would. With that in mind, Benjamin hoped they'd be able to locate the child soon. However, it was an uphill task to find a child in a sea of people. If the child was registered in the household registration system, there was still hope of finding him. However, they didn't know if he was registered. Besides, if he was registered, they would have registered him when he was born. The only way they could find him was to screen through all the children who were of the same age. By doing that, it'd take a long time because it'd be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Hence, Benjamin hoped they could get an advantage by relaunching the advertisement they advertised earlier. Upon hearing what Benjamin said, Orissa got even more worried. She couldn't imagine what her missing son was going through. When Benjamin saw how concerned she was, he comforted her, "Don't worry. We'll find him." Although he said that to her, he was pretty worried as well. Orissa gazed at him and nodded. "Thank you." With a glint in his eye, Benjamin answered, "What are you thanking me for? He's also my son." Indeed, if it wasn't for him, their son wouldn't have gone missing. Orissa pouted in response. "Stop frowning. The kids might get worried if they see you like this." Benjamin cajoled her calmly. Due to the fact that Orissa was extremely worried about her missing son, she didn't notice how much Benjamin had changed. "Where are you, sweetheart?" The four boys outside the room furrowed their brows as they were wondering about why their parents were worked up. "What are Mommy and Daddy worried about?" Jasper frowned and asked. Swiveling his eyes around, Zachary saw the surveillance cameras in the study room. "Gavin, do the surveillance cameras in the study room have a voice recording feature?" he asked softly. Gavin threw a glance at the cameras and shook his head. "No, they only record visuals." Since they were so far from their parents, Zachary couldn't see their lips when they talked. Otherwise, he could still take a guess by reading their lips. "Well, I guess we'd have to ask Mommy." Since they couldn't hear anything, Oliver heaved a sigh and was about to leave after turning around. Jasper was still lying on his stomach while focusing on the movements in the study room. Suddenly, Zachary's eyes brightened up. He held Gavin excitedly and said softly, "Mr. Graham was on the phone just now. We can find out who did he call and stalk that person." Gavin's eyes lit up as well. "Right, Daddy must have instructed someone to do something just now." After that, the four boys ran back into the house. Edwin was stumped when he saw them running into the house. "Hey, why haven't you guys changed?" All this while, the kids would always change out of their school uniforms upon arriving home. That was why Edwin was surprised when he saw them unchanged. "Mr. Whitley, we're going to get changed now," Zachary exclaimed while leading the rest of the boys upstairs. Jessie picked up her school bag and followed behind when she saw them running past her. A short while later, the five of them got into the room and locked the door. Zachary took out his laptop and started typing lines and lines of commands. Gavin was stunned. "You're amazing, Zachary." A boastful look appeared on Zachary's face before he said, "It's going to get even more amazing in a while. Just watch." Gavin's eyes gleamed with excitement as he watched intently. Unlike Gavin, Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie were well aware of Zachary's capabilities. Hence, they sat quietly at the side because they could tell he was onto something. The moment Orissa got out of the study room, the first thing she did was to look for the children. After seeing no sign of them in the living room, she found out from Edwin that the kids had gone upstairs. Hence, she walked up the stairs and went to the kids' room. When she turned the doorknob, she found that it was locked. When the kids heard the doorknob moving, they immediately turned their heads toward the door. Chapter 382. Orissa was dumbfounded. "Sweethearts, why did you guys lock the door? Are they hiding away to play games? Hey, open the door at once," Orissa ordered. Inside the room, the kids looked at each other in response. Zachary quickly turned off his laptop and told the others to open the door. Jessie diligently ran toward the door and opened it. She poked her head out and greeted, "Hi, Mommy." When Orissa saw Jessie beaming, She gently tapped her forehead and asked, "Did you guys lock the door to do something naughty?" Jessie shook her head. "No, we were just changing." She looked extremely innocent as she blinked her eyes at her mother. In fact, she could be very persuasive when needed. Orissa picked her up and walked into the room. Indeed, the boys were halfway getting changed. "Why are you guys only changing now?" Orissa's gaze swept across the room. "Didn't they get back from school a while ago?" "Mommy, we were playing around just now. Only now do we have the time to change." Jasper chuckled joyfully and got changed swiftly. Orissa flashed a smile and didn't think too much about it. She then took a set of clothes and helped Jessie get changed. She was wearing the same clothes as her brothers. When Gavin saw the others wearing the clothes, he looked slightly dismayed. Once Orissa was done getting her daughter changed, she noticed the boy standing next to her. "What's the matter, sweetheart?" she asked. Gavin shook his head while his eyes were still fixated on his siblings. Orissa threw a glance at the other kids, and something popped up in her mind. Immediately, she knew what was troubling Gavin. "Sweetheart, do you want to wear the same clothes as them?" she asked. Gavin's eyes lit up, and he smiled bashfully. "Well, we're siblings." Orissa kissed him on the cheek after smiling tenderly at him. "Yes, I'll buy a set of those clothes for you too, sweetheart." "Okay." A look of anticipation crossed Gavin's face as he looked sheepishly at Orissa. Orissa's heart ached at the sight of that. She hugged him tightly and uttered, "I'll do that. You're my sweetheart too. It's just that I didn't get to buy for you prior to this. From now onward, whatever your siblings have, you'll have it too. After dinner, we'll go out and buy, okay?" "Yes." Gavin was over the moon. Jessie clapped happily and exclaimed, "We get to go shopping tonight." Even Zachary, Oliver, and Jasper, who were never fond of shopping, were overjoyed. "Gavin, I have an identical set of clothes. I've worn it before, though. But if you don't mind, I can lend it to you." Zachary offered generously when he saw how Gavin kept looking at their clothes. "I have a set as well. Do you want mine?" Oliver smiled brightly and asked. Jasper chimed in, "Yes. I have a set too. However, the patterns on it are different." Not wanting to be left out, Jessie offered generously, "Gavin, me too. Do you want mine?" Upon hearing all that, Gavin was delighted. "Thank you. I'll wear Zachary's." Zachary immediately went to take his clothes and gave them to Gavin. After that, Gavin took off his pants and shirt and changed into them. Orissa was gladdened when she saw the affectionate interaction among the siblings. "You look so handsome, sweetheart," she praised. Gavin blushed upon hearing that. Orissa smiled. "My son is so cute when he's embarrassed." "Gavin is blushing." Jessie giggled. Her glistening eyes were curved into two beautiful crescents. At that point, Gavin was blushing uncontrollably. Zachary, Oliver, and Jasper found his embarrassment amusing. "Gavin, you look like us now. So dashing," Jasper exclaimed. "Gavin, the clothes are comfortable, right?" Oliver added. "Indeed." Gavin nodded. Zachary tapped on Gavin's shoulder. "Luckily we're of identical figures." "You look great." Jasper and Oliver giggled as well. "Gavin has the same figure as us." Chapter 383. Zachary shot a look of disdain at Jasper. "You're so chubby." Jasper was left speechless while Orissa burst out laughing. Actually, Jasper was not that chubby. His cheeks were slightly rounder, so he looked fatter than his brothers. Jessie was the one who was actually chubby. "I'm chubby." Jessie patted her stomach. "Sweethearts, do you want to go downstairs or play upstairs?" asked Orissa. "We'll go wherever you go, Mommy." The five of them surrounded her. As Orissa gazed at their adorable faces, her heart melted. She pulled all of them into her arms and pecked them on their cheeks. "Then, why don't you go downstairs to cook with me? Aren't you feeling unwell, Mommy? Just let Mr. Whitley cook instead." Gavin stared at her worriedly. "Yeah, if you're feeling uncomfortable, don't work so much. Rest more." Zachary refused to let her cook too. The other three opposed as well. Orissa was touched. "I've already recovered, so I can cook." The five of them stared at her fixedly. Amused, she reassured them, "I've really recovered." "Mommy, are you hiding something from us?" asked Zachary all of a sudden, catching Orissa off guard. What? She stared at the 5 children in confusion. Meeting her gaze, the 5 of them asked simultaneously, "You've gotta answer that. What did you talk to Mr. Graham about in the study room?" Orissa was stunned, not expecting them to be so observant. "I was discussing some matters with him, but that concerns the adults. It's better if you kids don't know about it." Since Orissa had not found the other child, she did not want to tell them and make them worry as well. When she had gone back to look for Gavin, she did not tell the kids either. The 5 children sighed. "Since you're unwilling to tell me your secret, we won't tell you anything when we have secrets." They snuck a glance at her as they tried to provoke her on purpose. Orissa was amused by their actions. "I'll tell you after a while, okay?" She stroked their heads before turning around and heading downstairs. The kids followed her down. "What are you planning to cook, Mommy?" asked Jessie hungrily as she grabbed Orissa's finger. Orissa looked down at her daughter and asked with a smile, "What do you want to eat?" Jess's eyes crinkled into crescents as she smiled and told Orissa what she wanted to eat. Her brothers did the same too. When Orissa noticed that Gavin was still silent, she laughed and asked, "What do you want to eat, Gavin?" "I'll eat whatever my brothers want to eat." He was a very thoughtful boy. Stroking his head, Orissa insisted, "No. You need to tell me something that you like to eat." After thinking about it, Gavin said, "I want to eat some prawns, Mommy." "Sure, I'll see if we have the ingredients first. If not, I'll go out and buy them," said Orissa as she walked toward the kitchen. "Are we going to the supermarket, Mommy?" Jasper, who loved to eat, immediately became excited. Orissa glanced at him in amusement. "Who said that I'm going to the supermarket?" Jasper stuck out his tongue and mumbled, "Aren't you going to the supermarket if you run out of ingredients?" "Yeah, but I'm not going personally. I can ask Edwin to go," said Orissa teasingly. Gavin chuckled. "It's okay. We can buy them with the butler," said Zachary with an excited grin. Oliver nodded and chimed in, "We'll buy the ingredients and Mommy will cook. We can buy so much yummy food at the supermarket." Jess's mind was already filled with the delicious snacks in the supermarket. Looking at how eager the kids were, even Orissa felt like going to the supermarket. She went to look at the fridge while the kids followed her. Soon, she turned around. Still smiling, she revealed some bad news to them. "Sweetheart, all the ingredients we need are in the fridge. You won't be able to go to the supermarket anymore." The kids were stunned. Chapter 384. They refused to believe her, thinking that she was merely tricking them. However, when they rushed to the fridge and took a look, they were speechless. Orissa was amused by how disappointed the kids looked. "If you want to go to the supermarket, I'll bring you there after eating." She could not bear to see them so disappointed. "Wow, that's great," cheered the 5 kids happily. Even Gavin smiled as well. "I love you, Mommy." Orissa did not know what to say. "So you don't love me if I don't bring you to the supermarket?" "We still do, but if you bring us to the supermarket, we'll love you more, Mommy." Jessie knew how to flatter someone. Her adorable voice immediately made Orissa's mood improve. Smiling, Orissa instructed the kids, "Ask your daddy what he wants to eat." However, the 5 kids shrunk back, none of them wanting to go. "Huh," Orissa glanced at them. "Since Daddy bullied you, I'm not going," declared Zachary defiantly. His siblings chimed in, "We aren't going either." Stunned, Orissa looked at Gavin, who was also pouting indignantly. "You can just cook yummy food for us, Mommy. No need to care about him." Orissa sighed. "Why are the kids rejecting Benjamin all of a sudden again? He didn't bully me." "What are you doing, Mommy? Stop lying to us. Your eyes are already red from crying," scoffed Jasper as he pointed at her eyes. Orissa was stunned, not knowing that the kids were so observant. Since they had misunderstood, she quickly explained, "My eyes are red not because your daddy bullied me. This has nothing to do with him." Their eyes lit up as they asked, "Why, then?" Meeting their worried gazes, Orissa felt moved. "It's because of something else." She stroked their heads and walked toward the study, deliberately avoiding their question. The kids exchanged a look with each other. "Mommy didn't fall for the trick. What secret is she hiding from us?" Orissa came to the study and knocked on the door, reminding the man inside. Benjamin raised his head. Come in. When Orissa met his gaze, her heart skipped a beat. What do you want to eat for dinner? He frowned. Are you cooking tonight? Orissa nodded. Yeah, don't. Let Edwin do it, instructed Benjamin solemnly. Thinking that he was afraid of her cooking something weird again, she cleared her throat. I won't cook anything inedible. What do you want to eat? She asked again. You still haven't recovered. If you're too bored, play with the kids instead. Edwin can cook dinner, repeated Benjamin before resuming his work. Orissa felt touched. I've already recovered. When he ignored her, she pouted and headed to the kitchen. Upon noticing that she wanted to cook, Edwin stopped her and chased her out. However, since Orissa insisted on staying, he had no choice but to let her cook while he helped out. Miss York, let me handle these ingredients. You can just do the cooking later. Let's do it together. I'm free, anyway. Orissa stayed in the kitchen instead of leaving. Just like that, she spent more than an hour preparing 5 dishes and a soup. They were all the kids' favorite. Since Benjamin did not specify what he wanted to eat, she did not cook anything else. Sweethearts, dinner's ready, yelled Orissa in the direction of the living room. The 5 kids immediately tossed their toys aside and ran over. Looking at the table filled with delicious food, they gulped. Wow, there's so much yummy food. Wash your hands. It's about time for dinner, ordered Orissa before calling Benjamin over to eat. Chapter 385. As Benjamin was calling someone on the balcony facing the garden, she waited at the door for a while. She felt touched when she saw how busy he was, answering calls after another. Is he held back from work because he was accompanying me at the hospital in the morning? Feeling someone's gaze on him, Benjamin turned around and saw her standing at the entrance. She was in deep thought. What's the matter? Although he was still on the call, he moved his phone aside and asked. Orissa was pulled back to her senses. Meeting his intense gaze, she replied, I'm here to tell you that dinner's ready. Okay, eat with the kids first. I need to settle some things, said Benjamin. Orissa nodded. After urging him to hurry up, she returned to the dining room. The kids had already washed their hands. She carried them to their seats and reminded them, wait for a while. Your daddy isn't here yet. They nodded and waited at the dining table obediently, none of them making the move first to start eating. Edwin smiled when he saw that. Miss York, since Mr. Graham isn't here yet, you can drink some soup first and wait for him to come. It's fine, let's wait for him first, replied Orissa as she snuck a glance at the 5 kids, who were drooling as they stared at the food. Laughing, she asked, would you like some fruits? The 5 kids stared at her. Orissa stroked their heads before leaving to get some fruits for them. Meanwhile, Edwin poured soup for them. Miss York, drink some soup first. We don't know when Mr. Graham will be ready. The kids should not go hungry. Edwin poured a bowl of soup for Orissa before placing another bowl at Benjamin's seat. Thank you, Edwin, said Orissa. She then reminded the kids, drink the soup first. Be careful, it's hot. Okay, they nodded. You too, Mommy. Sure, replied Orissa with a smile before drinking her soup. Edwin stared at them before going to the study and hurrying Benjamin. Mr. Graham, go to eat quickly. Miss York and the kids are all waiting for you. Got it, replied Benjamin. Didn't I ask her to eat with the kids first? He placed his work aside, got up, and went to the dining room. When Orissa saw him, she said, come and eat. Okay. Benjamin shot a glance at her before pulling the chair out. The 5 kids stared at him and greeted, hello, Mr. Graham. Benjamin's eyes gleamed as he scanned the kids. Hello. They continued drinking the soup. While Benjamin sipped on his soup, he glanced at the dishes on the table. They look quite delicious. Did you cook everything? Stunned, Orissa nodded. Yeah, why? Benjamin cut out a piece of steak and tasted it. It's not bad, thanks. Orissa returned his gaze. She was quite confident in her culinary skills. Benjamin shot a meaningful gaze at her. How did you know that I like to eat this? Orissa and the kids were stunned. Gavin could not help but dash his hopes. Don't be shameless. Zachary likes to eat this, so Mommy cooked it for him. Raising his eyebrows, Benjamin looked at his son, then back at Orissa. You prepared this for the kids. Orissa laughed embarrassedly. You didn't say what you wanted to eat when I asked you, so I only cooked what the kids wanted. Benjamin snorted softly. Edwin laughed secretly when he saw how displeased Benjamin was. Mr. Graham, Miss York prepared this soup specially for you. There's quite a lot left. Would you like to have another bowl of soup? Benjamin glanced at Orissa suspiciously, not believing that she had cooked it. Orissa did not expect Edwin to credit her for it. Meeting Benjamin's suspicious gaze, she became even more embarrassed. Edwin prepared this for you, not me. Benjamin's face fell. He turned around and glared at Edwin. You may leave now. Okay. Edwin quickly left. Chapter 386. Orissa was speechless when she saw that Benjamin had lost his temper. Edwin spent a lot of effort making this soup. She could not bear watching Edwin being scolded. Don't speak when we eat, interrupted Benjamin as he continued drinking his soup. The corners of Orissa's lips twitched. After they were done drinking the soup, she prepared some pasta for the kids and herself. Benjamin passed his plate to her the moment she sat down. Orissa shot him a glance, but still took his plate and put some pasta on it. When she placed the plate down in front of him, he frowned. Is there still any pasta left? He glanced over. Orissa replied, yeah. Why didn't you give me more? Scoffed Benjamin. She was at a loss for words. Feeling guilty, she averted her gaze and focused on eating. If you think that it's too little, why can't you get it yourself? All you know what to do is to scold mommy, protested Gavin when he saw Benjamin scolding Orissa again. Benjamin looked over and met Gavin's furious gaze. The other 4 kids were equally angry too. Feeling delighted, Orissa glanced at them and coaxed gently, it's fine. Eat up, sweethearts. We're still going out later. When they heard that, they immediately averted their hostile gaze from Benjamin and continued eating attentively. Benjamin swept his gaze across Orissa and the kids. Where are you going later? Still chewing her food, Orissa mumbled, we're going shopping. Just when Benjamin wanted to tell her to stop going out before she fully recovered, he noticed that there was some pasta stuck on her lips. It moved as she chewed, making her look adorable and funny. A look of amusement crept into his eyes. Feeling his eyes on her, Orissa turned around and met his teasing gaze. Benjamin raised his hand and wiped the pasta away from her lips. He chided, you eat like a child. Orissa and the 5 kids were stunned. Sensing that everyone was now looking at her, Orissa blushed. She wiped her mouth and continued eating the pasta. Although she seemed calm on the surface, she was dying from embarrassment inside, especially when Benjamin glanced over occasionally. After eating, Orissa was about to leave with the kids when Benjamin followed them out. While she stared at him, he opened the car doors. Get into the car. Are you going too? She asked carefully. Benjamin raised his eyebrows domineeringly. Why, am I not allowed to go out? Orissa pursed her lips. No, I'm just asking because you seem busy. Since he's not worried about work, why am I still asking about it? Orissa lamented silently before bending down and getting into the car. The 5 kids were already inside the car. When they saw Benjamin driving, they were surprised. Zachary asked, Mr. Graham, are you going shopping with us? Yeah, since your mommy can't possibly look after all of you, I'll join too, replied Benjamin as he turned around and glanced at him. The corners of Zachary's lips twitched. He makes us sound like mischievous kids. We won't run around wildly. Orissa was equally speechless at Benjamin's excuse. Although the kids did not say anything else, they were quite happy to see Benjamin together with them. Orissa smiled as she looked at the kids. Where are you going shopping? Asked Benjamin as he turned his head around. He started the engine and drove out of the Graham residence. The shopping mall is fine, replied Orissa. Benjamin nodded and drove to the shopping mall. With Orissa and the 5 kids, he went to a mall that was owned by him. When Orissa saw that famous shopping mall, she was speechless. This is a paradise for people to spend money on. Sweethearts, let's go in. She called the 5 kids as they scrambled down the car. Chapter 387. When the kids were all gathered there, Orissa saw Benjamin walking over. If you're busy, you don't have to shop with us. We'll go home after buying the stuff. Just go in. Benjamin raised his chin and led the rest into the shopping mall. Wow, this is so big, exclaimed Jessie in wonder. Benjamin carried her affectionately and pinched her cheek. If you want to buy something, just tell me. Jessie stared at him and blinked adorably. Gavin wants to buy some clothes. Benjamin glanced at Gavin. We have a lot of clothes at home, right? Why are you buying more clothes? Gavin snorted, stroking his head. Orissa held his hand and called the other 3 boys over. Come on. Let's go to the children's clothing section. Orissa brought the kids over so they could choose their own clothes. Benjamin had no choice but to follow them while carrying Jessie. Mr. Graham, can you put me down? Asked Jessie in an adorable voice in his arms, her cheeks looking very rosy. Benjamin lamented silently. If only Jessie is a girl. It's crowded here, so I'll carry you. Benjamin just wanted to carry her for a little while longer. Left with no choice but to let him carry her, Jessie snuggled back into his arms. She was quite happy too since she was high enough to look far into the distance. When the people in the shopping mall saw Benjamin and Orissa with the 5 kids, their attention was immediately drawn to them. Since the family was so good looking, the crowd was awed. That man is so handsome. Who is he? He's even carrying his child. How sweet. Can those 5 kids be quintuplets? They look like they are of the same age and similar to each other too. I'm so envious of that woman. Not only are her kids so good looking, but her husband is also so handsome. Orissa felt embarrassed when she heard that. Benjamin glanced at her face. A slight blush had spread across her cheeks, making her look extremely alluring. A passionate look crept into his eyes. Mommy, what about this shirt? Jasper ran toward her with a shirt. Returning to her sense, Orissa glanced at it and thought that it looked quite cool. Sure. Jasper ran over and told his brothers, Mommy says that it's okay. Should we buy this, then? Gavin looked at the rest, afraid that they would not like it. Yeah, Zachary nodded. Oliver and Jasper liked it too. The 4 of them chose different designs. Which one do you want, Jessie? Oliver asked Jessie, who was still being carried by Benjamin. I want that pink one over there. Jessie glanced at the shirts and chose one with a design that she liked. However, Benjamin frowned. Boys shouldn't like pink. Boys don't look good in pink. Choose another one. Looking back at him, Jessie flailed her arms around, trying to get down. Benjamin had no choice but to place her on the ground. Jessie ran over and hugged the pink shirt. I want this one. Okay. Orissa laughed and asked the staff to pack 5 shirts. Benjamin frowned. Why is she letting our son wear pink? That'll be a total of $75,000. The shirts were extremely expensive. However, upon thinking that the money would be spent on the kids, Orissa kept her complaints to herself. Let me. Not letting her pay, Benjamin passed a black card over. However, Orissa quickly took his card back. No, I'm buying this for Gavin and the rest. Benjamin's brows knitted together. Is it different when I pay? Of course. It's different depending on who buys it. I promised Gavin. Orissa still made the staff use her card. Meanwhile, Benjamin sighed. Is there a need to make the distinction so clear? Orissa continued shopping with the kids and bought quite a lot of clothes for them. Since Benjamin also bought some for them, the number of shopping bags in his hands increased quickly. Pleased that she did not have to carry so much, Orissa continued shopping with the kids. After they were almost done shopping, they went to the supermarket in the basement. Chapter 388. When they reached the entrance of the supermarket, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie ran to push the trolleys. Since Gavin had never gone there before, he was unsure of what to do. Noticing it, Orissa stroked his head. Let's wait for them to push the trolleys out first. If you want to buy anything, just put it inside the trolley. Gavin's eyes lit up as he raised his head and looked at Alyssa. Is this trolley meant to carry things, Mommy? Orissa nodded and whispered, yeah. Children can sit inside too. Coincidentally, Gavin saw a parent at the side carry a kid into the trolley. He laughed shyly. Let's let Jessie sit inside. We can push her, him. Okay. Orissa caressed his head again. Although Benjamin was at the side taking a call, He was constantly staring at the kids and ensuring that no one would bump into them. The 4 kids pushed the trolley out excitedly. Is one enough, Mommy? Orissa chuckled. Of course. Are you planning to move the entire supermarket back home? The kids laughed as well. With Gavin walking beside her, Orissa said, let's go in and shop. Ha ha. We'll push the trolley. Jasper quickly pushed the trolley. Let Jesse sit inside, said Gavin as he followed the rest. Zachary nodded and agreed. Jesse, sit inside the trolley. Okay. Excited, Jessie turned her head around and glanced at Orissa. Smiling, she walked over, carried Jessie, and placed her inside the trolley. Gavin, do you want to sit inside too? Asked Orissa gently upon noticing Gavin's envious gaze. Yeah, you haven't sat in a trolley before, right? Give it a try, urged Oliver, wanting him to try it out too. Gavin, go inside, we'll push you. Zachary tried to convince him to. Just let Jessie sit inside. I'm good. Gavin blushed, feeling a bit embarrassed. Knowing that he was simply being shy, Orissa bent down and carried him into the trolley. Just sit inside for a while. If you don't like it, you can always come down. It's really comfortable here, Gavin. Jessie said to Gavin. After he sat down, she hugged his arm. Okay. As Gavin had never experienced this before, his expression was quite stiff. However, it did feel quite comfortable. Let's go, yelled Jasper. With Zachary and Oliver following him, they pushed the trolley into the supermarket. Slow down, don't bump into anyone, reminded Orissa as she followed them with a grin. Okay, Mommy, Zachary made an okay sign with his fingers. There were quite a lot of people in the supermarket at that hour. When they saw the 5 adorable kids, they all glanced over. They could not tear their eyes away from the kids. These children are so pretty. How adorable. Jessie was even grinning at everyone cutely, winning their favor all at once. Gavin, they're all saying that I'm pretty, bragged Jessie to Gavin. Yeah, he blushed. Initially, he could not get used to sitting in the trolley. However, he started to find it super fun. Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, would you like to sit here too? Zachary laughed. If we go in, who'll push you? I can. Having enjoyed his ride, Gavin wanted his brothers to enjoy it too. It's fine. We've sat inside before, so you should enjoy it to your heart's content today. Sometimes, Zachary pitied Gavin for having not experienced such fun before. Thanks. Gavin beamed. When Benjamin glanced at the wide smile on Gavin's face, a gentle look crept into his eyes. It's rare to see this little guy so happy. Staring at the kids, Orissa offered, Sweethearts, take anything that you want to eat. Anything. Zachary's eyes sparkled as he turned around and looked at Orissa. Chapter 389. Orissa glanced at him. Nothing fried. Zachary stuck his tongue out. However, they still pushed the trolley to the snacks section and happily chose some. Following them closely, Orissa said, I'll give you 5 minutes to choose. The kids exclaimed in shock. Gavin, Jessie, quickly come down and take some snacks. Otherwise, Mommy won't buy them for us. After Jessie scrambled to her feet, Jasper and Oliver quickly carried her out of the trolley. Gavin also came down anxiously. Afraid that he would fall, Zachary held his arm. Orissa went forward to carry him out directly. Immediately, the 5 kids ran to grab some snacks. While Orissa grinned, Benjamin frowned. Are you letting them eat such unhealthy food? When she turned around to look at him, she saw him staring at him with a picky expression. It's fine if they only eat it occasionally. What's important is that the kids are happy. It's nice to bring them shopping once in a while. Benjamin's brows knitted together. Within a short while, the trolley was filled with snacks. While pushing the trolley, the kids snatched any snacks that they saw. As Benjamin did not have a chance to speak to her about the kids' clothing, he raised it up to Orissa now. Jess is a boy. Is it appropriate to let him wear pink clothes? He's not a girl. Stunned, Orissa stared at him for a while before averting her gaze. Her lips twitched as she suppressed her laughter. I'll not tell him that Jess is actually a girl. What matters more is whether the kids like it or not. When Benjamin heard that, he frowned and said solemnly, if the kids are still ignorant, they need to be guided by adults. Do you want your kids to be girly in the future? Orissa did not expect him to think so far ahead. She declared confidently, "Don't worry. My sons will definitely not be girly after they grow up. They'll definitely be macho." Looking at how unbothered she was, Benjamin pursed his lips furiously. Meanwhile, Orissa caught up with the kids to pick her favorite snacks too. "Mommy, didn't you say that we cannot buy any fried foods? Why are you taking them?" When Oliver noticed her, he stared at her intently behind his glasses. "I suddenly want to eat them. It's not you who's eating them, anyway." Orissa flashed a grin at him before selecting the other snacks. Oliver shot a glance at her before turning around and taking his favorite snacks. When Benjamin saw Orissa being as excited as a child while she picked out her snacks, he sighed in exasperation. "Don't just stand there. Push the trolley for us," ordered Orissa directly as she glanced at him. Benjamin frowned, feeling unhappy. However, he still walked forward to push the trolley. Others felt envious upon witnessing this scene. "Look at how thoughtful her husband is. He knows how to help them push the trolley, but look at you. All you know is to look at your phone. Others might think that I'm bringing my adult son out. That man is so handsome and sweet. If I bought so many snacks with my children, my husband will definitely nag at me." But he didn't even say a word. The entire family is so good looking. Are they celebrities? That man is even more famous than a star. Look at his height and figure. Orissa rolled her eyes when she heard all those praises for Benjamin. "He's that amazing." She turned around and cast a glance over her shoulder at Benjamin. When he met her gaze, a grim look crept into his eyes. What's up with her gaze? Does she have a problem with me? Orissa averted her gaze and saw that the kids were still busy snatching the snacks. "Time's almost up. Is there anything else that you want to buy?" Yes. Time isn't up yet. You're lying, Mommy," exclaimed the 5 kids. They tossed the snacks into the trolley before running away to grab more stuff. When Benjamin saw the kids behaving like that in public, he frowned. Slow down. Chapter 390. If you're any slower, Mommy won't buy it for us anymore. Jessie huffed and turned around to run off. She did not even put the things into the cart properly, so they fell to the ground. Benjamin then hunched over to pick up the things to put inside the cart, but the moment he saw the cart full of junk food, he halted in his tracks. In the next second, he put what he had picked up back onto the shelf. When the girl came back and saw what Benjamin did, she turned anxious. "Mr. Graham, why did you take my stuff out of the cart?" When he looked into her red eyes, he found himself stumped. "Mommy, Mr. Graham took my things out of the cart." The girl immediately tattled to her mother. The moment she realized her daughter was about to cry, Orissa hastily consoled, "Mommy will take it back for you, okay?" Jessie pouted as tears welled up in her eyes. She looked like the epitome of misery. Left without a choice, Benjamin took back the things from the shelf and softened his tone. His head was starting to ache, and he realized he could not stand to watch Jess's tears. "Doesn't the little one cry a lot? Jessie is so different from the boys. Here, I took them back for you. Jessie, help yourself. I won't take your stuff out of the cart anymore." HMPH. Jessie huffed before pouting. Orissa then shot Benjamin a glare and chided, "What's the matter with you? Why did you have to take them all out?" Benjamin was speechless at that. "Sweetheart, you still have time, so hurry and get something you like to eat," Orissa said to Jessie as she ruffled her hair. Immediately, Jess's eyes lit up, and some of her tears went away. "Really?" "Yes," Orissa affirmed. "Hurry now, or your brothers are going to get them all." "Okay." The girl then wiped her tears and sniffled before running off for her snacks. When Orissa turned to look at Benjamin, she noticed the guilty look on his face. He then explained, "There are too many junk foods in here, so I was thinking of taking some out." Orissa rolled her eyes at him and whispered, "Don't you know how to be discreet? If you want to take it out, you can't let the kids see you." Benjamin pursed his lips. "I did do it discreetly. Who knew the kid was going to come back so quickly?" Right then, Gavin, Zachary, Oliver, and Jasper rushed back to them. "Mr. Graham, how can you do this? Did you take our snacks out too?" Benjamin did not know how to reply to the children's questions. I didn't take yours out. I just took out Jess's, he explained, but the four boys refused to believe him. Jasper and Oliver then dug through the food in the cart. A beat later, they huffed. No wonder the things in the cart are getting lesser and lesser even though we've been taking so many snacks. Benjamin blinked in silence. I don't want you to push the cart anymore. We'll do it ourselves. With that said, Gavin pushed the cart away, not trusting Benjamin to help out anymore. HMPH. I don't want you to push this anymore either, said Zachary with a scoff before helping Gavin push the cart. Both hurried away for more snacks. Meanwhile, Orissa was watching Benjamin with a gleeful look on her face, thinking, you did this to yourself. Benjamin narrowed his eyes and whipped his head around to look at her. At that, Orissa quickly looked away. Once the children were done choosing their snacks, she brought them away to the other aisles. The 5 children were joyous throughout the shopping trip. An hour later, they went to pay for the cart full of food. After all, the butler was in charge of purchasing household necessities, so Orissa did not need to buy them at all. Benjamin trailed behind them. When they reached the counter, he took out his card. Orissa noticed it, but she did not stop him from paying for the food. As they had bought too many things, they needed a few bags to pack them all in. When Orissa pushed the shopping cart out, Benjamin pulled her away and said, I'll do it. She did not reject him as she stepped aside and leisurely watched the man busy away. Put them inside the cart before pushing it out. Okay. Once Benjamin placed all the bags into the cart, he began pushing it toward the outside. Sweethearts, let's go, Orissa called out to the 5 children. Once they were by her side, the family of 7 left the supermarket together.